Live from Las Vegas, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker. L.A. Walker. Raw and unfiltered conversations on how to give life's challenges the finger. Truth is your passport to emotional freedom. Give an eviction notice to negativity. Dump yesterday's garbage. Learn how to be positive, energized, healthy, and alive during these insanely unpredictable times. Look up, get up, stay up. Then help somebody else to get up. Remember, any part of up is higher than down. Now, broadcasting hope to the world, L.A. Walker.
I am back. You are back. We are back. We have another chance because we have been given life, and our job is to do what? To live it. And I am on my job because it is the best job I've ever had. I never liked working for other people. No, I just did not like it. But this is a job I can handle, and it's a job that I love. Are you happy? If you have to think about it, maybe you're not as happy as you'd like to be, or as happy as you could be. Happiness is a full-time job, which you must stay on your job if you want to be happy. No one is responsible for your happiness, not even your spouse. They can contribute to your happiness, but happiness is an inside job. It's something that only you can do for you. And there are different ways that each of us approaches how we acquire and maintain happiness. For an example, I have a spiritual life, believe it or not. I really do. And that's part of how I maintain my happiness. The other way that I maintain my happiness is through humor. Absolutely. Humor keeps me happy. I don't care what's going on in life. I find a way to see the humor in it because actually the first humorous point is I can't do a damn thing about most of the things that I see. Happiness is a full-time job, which you must stay on your job if you want to be happy. No one is responsible for your happiness, not even your spouse. Happiness is not some superficial smile. Happiness occurs within the soul, S-O-U-L. And when that is present, it shines through everything that you do, even in the midst of adversity. Without deliberate, determined, and defiant attention to being happy, happiness is often a fleeting moment. Many of us struggle with what our interpretation of success is. Most think that success is a form of prosperity that reveals itself in houses and cars and land and vacations and jewelry and hairdos. But after you reach a certain plateau spiritually, you understand that happiness is the goal. Happiness is the true measurement of life's success, your success. Are you happy? Too many times we spend so much energy looking for something or someone to supply us with that feeling of happiness, when in fact, the feeling of happiness is an internal operation. It's an inside job. We have to become emotionally passionate and intimately committed to the relationship that we have with ourselves. And once we have established and become rooted and grounded in that happiness, then our energy will attract those that will continue to help us maintain our level of happiness by not distracting us with their unhappiness. So the ultimate question is, if you are not happy, what do you need to do to become happy? You need to make a list. You need to make a list. You need to understand those things that make you happy and those things that don't make you happy. And to be honest. And sometimes we avoid making such a list, whether it's a physical list or a mental list, because when we make those types of decisions, something has to come into our lives or something or someone has to go. It is my job, my responsibility to then cling to those things that provide me happiness. I did not say cling to those things that provide me a temporary relief for the pain that I'm focusing on. I am focusing on the happiness and how to regenerate, maintain that feeling, that emotion, that state of mind. If you have the ability to remember the worst times in your life, that means that you have survived them. And that means that gratitude can be such an instrument in maintaining your happiness. Once again, clearly, I am not saying that this process is easy. I am saying it is absolutely, positively necessary if you are going to have a happy life. Today, I have the opportunity of sharing a chat with one of the most televised female magicians, Ariann Black. And Ariann is right now creating the biggest magic trick of her life, and that's learning how to go on successfully and be happy after the loss of both parents back to back, and the loss of a lifelong career, learning how to reinvent herself to go on and enjoy her life. Where are you, girl? I haven't seen you for a while. Are you still here in Vegas?
I came up to Canada right before COVID to help with my parents who were, 89 and 90.
Oh, wow.
And then COVID hit, and my parents actually passed away before COVID, one from brain tumor and the other one from a heart attack.
Oh, Jesus.
So I was so glad to be able to come up here and spend that last little bit of time with them. But then COVID hit, and I'm like, I'm just going to stay here and see how things play out.
Right.
The day that I moved up here, my father was rushed to the hospital and was diagnosed with a brain tumor and died 3 weeks later.
Wow.
My mother's death was so, we knew she had a heart condition, but the doctor's like, oh, it's okay, people live with this condition for years, and your mom's got, 10, she's already 90, 10, 20 years, type thing ahead of her. And so we were like, okay, but then she fell and didn't tell anyone she fell, and she had this huge bruise, and she bled into the bruise.
Oh, no.
And she lost so much blood in the bruise that it compromised her heart and killed her. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And so my sister and I, we, went to the hospital with her and sat with her, knowing that, she was dying as we were sitting there with her. There was nothing that could be done. I would just like to say that for the people that are dealing with the death of relatives and friends, not just because of COVID, but there is that grief process, but there is so much. There is so much joy once you get over that hump. There's so much, when you go through things and you find little things that, especially with parents, that they kept, and you're thinking, why did they keep this? Why did they keep this little thing that I made when I was in grade 1?
Oh.
But they kept it all this time. And even though they got rid of all sorts of other things, they kept that one little thing. There's so much amazing things. And the memories that you keep of those people eventually fills us with the joy and the happiness of letting them go.
Thanks for saying that, Ariann, that there is joy if we just hang in there, because I've been interviewing people back to back, and it's just astonishing at the amount of people who have lost loved ones. But life does indeed go on. It is a struggle when you lose someone, but it's nice to know that there's a smile waiting for us if we just hold on. Thanks for that. So, girlfriend, what is going on with the wonderful world of magic? How are you dealing with all of these changes?
I've been doing some Zoom shows, but there's no, as you know, there's no work in Vegas, which is another reason why I'm glad I'm not there.
Right.
You know, you can do Zoom shows, but there's just not a lot of work out there. So also with magic in Vegas they want 20-something-year-olds on stage. They don't want a 50-year-old. And so I was already looking at the fact that I was going to have to reinvent myself.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Ariann, here's what we do know. If we do nothing, nothing is likely to occur. Stay right there, Ariann, and you stay right there. We'll be back after this.
Hi guys, this is Tin. Listen, I don't know if you have been able to make your way over to lawalker.life on Facebook, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor, run over there and just read the snippets of her new book. She's writing a new book, and it is titled Seeing Beyond the Mess. It grabs your attention. All of us have mess. All of us have mess, whether we were born in the mess, as she says, whether we were born in the mess or whether it's handcrafted mess, but there's life beyond that mess. We sometimes create our own mess. And just from reading the little snippets that I read, she exposed all of that. Just in those little bitty passages, she exposed a lot of that. A lot of that stuff she was born into. Some of that stuff she could not control. Some of those things she created on her own. She exposed the mess. Whenever you have time, just run over there and check it out. Let's start seeing beyond the mess.
You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker.
This is funny. So right before COVID hit, because, you know, I'm in the midst of reinventing myself. So I've been doing, you know, magic my entire life. I've been doing research on a book about female magicians dating back in history. And it dates back to the 1600s. And it's just a coffee table book. But I have like 200 names of female magicians from around the world for this book.
Oh, wow.
And it only goes to the 1970s. So it's not even covering present-day magicians. And it's these women who have these amazing stories, like Zerka, who did an act with cigarettes in the late 1800s, and she ended up dying in an insane asylum, alone and blind. Miss Blanche, who was a female magician from Germany. She was born in Berlin, and she was Jewish and ended up in Auschwitz in Building 10. You know, Adelaide Herman, who, when her husband died, she took over her husband's show and toured with it for another 35 years. Ellen Armstrong, who, when her father died, she had been a magician with her father, helping him with his show. And when he passed away from a heart attack, she took over the show and ran it for 32 years. And because she was working in the South, and she was black, and she was born in 1900, you know, she was part of segregation.
Sure.
But she had this successful touring show, you know, where she would work in the basements of churches and schools and anywhere that she could to get to her community, to give them joy and hope through the magic that she produced. You know, and I just have all these wonderful, amazing women that have completely been forgotten because they were women in magic. So I've been working on this book, and I had just finished writing a speech. Yeah, just finished writing it, just had it all worked out, and COVID hit. Well, I guess we'll put that speech on a shelf for the next, year and a half.
Well, you know what you always can do is, if you want to do a TED Talk, it might be really promising for you.
I actually have friends that are tied in with TED Talk, and I'm looking into doing that. In the meantime, I have been working with some people in England and turning 8 of those women into a musical.
Nice. I like that. You know, I like that kind of stuff. That's good stuff.
I was just going to say, seeing as my degree's in musical theater, I feel like I'm coming back full circle.
Yeah, life has a way of doing that to us. You have so much talent, and you have so many years invested in doing so many wonderful things, not just being a magician. You have so much to tap from. And we as women are really, really going to have to be extremely flexible. but also very vocal and very supportive of each other. And that's the one thing that we have to learn from our male counterparts. That's one thing that men do. They do support each other.
Yes, and women are taught that there's only so many positions and jobs and that we have to fight for them. The only reason we're taught to fight for them is because men teach us that. And we really need to find more ways to support each other. I love supporting women. I love the fact, and part of the reason I'm doing the book and stopping in the 1970s is because I don't want to put out a coffee table book that goes to present day, and then I have all these women calling me saying, how come I'm not included in the book? This way, it's a way for women to say, hey, I saw your book. Are you going to do the follow-up with present day? I can say, yes, I am. Would you like to be a part of it?
Right. You have to build it first. That's right. So how many female magicians would you say, active magicians, are there today?
I know about 100 active today.
Okay. That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. There's a huge amount. And you know, the funny thing is people say, oh, it's a new thing, but it isn't. I think that female magicians kind of circle around in magic, and that there are certain decades where there's more, and then there's less, and then there's more. Why female magicians haven't caught on or had more success in the past, I don't know. But I am willing to help, all these young girls that are up and coming. We learn from the past. We learn from those that came before us. And I'm willing to do that so that those stories can be told. The girls today can learn from them.
Well, that's wonderful. And we need more of that. We do. So do you think you'll be moving back to the States, or are you going to be staying there?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. And that doesn't have anything to do with, am I disappointed with the States and never want to come back? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, what do I want from my future for me? Does that lie in living in the States? I don't think it's in living in Vegas anymore. I want so much more. It's funny when I say that, I think of Belle from Beauty and the Beast doing I want so much more from this provincial life.
Right.
I spent years bringing wonder to people. And there's a certain amount of childish joy that you get from watching a magic trick. And I spent years bringing that to people, but not having it myself. That's what I want now. But I have no idea how to get it.
Well, I think you've started already. You've decided that that's what you want. You've envisioned it, and it will come to you as a result of that. I believe that strongly.
Yeah, I totally believe in envisioning things. But part of it is I don't know what I'm envisioning, because I don't quite, I know what it is I want, but I just don't quite know what that really honestly looks like. I feel like if I'm not going to do magic, I have to grow up.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
No, I don't. I really don't. You know how it is?
I do.
You're just looking at yourself and you're thinking, wow, I spent so much time and effort bringing all this happiness to other people.
Right.
And never finding it for myself.
I've always been a fan of yours, Ariann, not just because of you being a magician, but because of you just being a good person. I thank you for sharing this time with me, and I wish you the most success, prosperity, and good health available to us through the universe. Love you much.
I wish the same for you.
Thank you.
And I love you too.
Whatever podcast network you listen to Up is Higher Than Down on, please, please, please take the time to rate and leave a comment. Well, at least rate and subscribe. How about that? I really appreciate it. And don't forget to remember that you are important.
Listen to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker every day. To follow up, make comments, discuss today's podcast, or find out how you can become a guest and share your victory over a negative life event, follow L.A. Walker. Up is Higher Than Down on Facebook. Look up, get up, stay up. Remember, any part of Up is Higher Than Down.